Hi, my name's Eric Prosher, and you're watching Veterans Issue, which is a special program where we will be talking about programs and services available at Jesse Brown VA Medical Center. And we have a special guest this evening. His name is Dr. Robert Walters. He's a colleague of mine, a friend of mine, and we're going to hear over the next 25 minutes what Jesse Brown VA Medical Center is doing to connect our veterans, to support their mental health, and to engage them with their concerns. So for those of you that have joined at home, this is a live call-in interactive program, and you can call us with your questions at 312-738-1060. So, hi, Dr. Walters.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
Thanks
Great
for
to
coming
be here.
back. It's been a while since you've been on the show.
Yeah.
And,
Always a pleasure.
I see that you have a little bit more hair than you used to everywhere.
I do.
In your face.
On my chin and my head.
Chin and your head. Yes. So, thanks again. And so, why don't we refresh our audience a little bit by sharing and talking a little bit about your role at Jesse Brown VA Medical Center, located at 820 South Damon Avenue. How long you been at Jesse Brown, and what you been up to since we last talked to you?
Good question. So I just got my 10-year anniversary award.
Whoa! Congratulations,
Yeah,
10 years.
10 years goes by fast.
Yes, it does.
And
Time
sometimes
flies.
slow. But
I can't believe we've been doing this show for 10 years.
yeah, I remember the old studio, so this is nice.
That is nice.
But so I'm a licensed clinical psychologist, just like yourself. But I have a couple of different roles. I work in the psychiatric assessment clinic, where I link people to mental health. I also cover the psych ER, to kind of explain it simply. I also work in neuropsychology. That's kind of like my bread and butter. I've also held roles in research, as have you. And then I've also worked in what's called our day hospital program, which is a partial hospitalization program. But mostly what I do is I work in the psychiatric assessment clinic and in neuropsychology.
Well, that's great. So you are the perfect guest to have here, because it sounds like you're plugged into a variety of programs.
Yeah.
And you know the resources that are available. And that's why we're here. We're here to share and to highlight some of the amazing things that our VA is doing to help veterans. So why don't we start off by talking a little bit about, you said you've used the term PAC. What does PAC mean? What does it stand for?
Yeah, so PAC is our, it's actually a clinic. It's called the Psychiatric Assessment Clinic, and we have a psychiatrist. We actually have two psychiatrists now. We have a psychologist. We have a nurse who's also a psychologist. We have, at some points, nurse practitioners. We got multiple social workers. And what we do is we link people to mental health care. So if you come in and you're concerned that you may have PTSD, or you may have depression, or you are interested in medications, psychiatric medications to make you feel better, I kind of say we link people to treatment. I say everything from ADHD to Alzheimer's disease. So it's
so the whole gamut.
The whole gamut. We take we take patients who are scheduled. We take patients who are walk-in.
Yeah.
We also cover the ER, so patients who are in crisis.
Yeah. So last month we had someone from our primary care mental health integration.
Right.
And it was Dr. Listro, and she did something similar, but she worked more with primary care.
Yeah.
So what's the difference between what she was doing, which was linking people that were coming into primary care services and say they had depression or some other concerns that they could be addressed? She would make appointments and follow up with them.
Yeah.
What's the difference between what she do and what you would do?
Okay, well, there's similarities and differences. Similarities is we both link people to treatment. It's kind of like the bottom line. But the difference is with primary care mental health integration, they have to have a primary care doctor appointment first.
Okay.
And then they see their primary care doctor, and they mention, oh yeah, maybe my mood isn't feeling so good, or I'm feeling a little bit down.
Okay.
And then that doctor can call someone like Dr. Listro. That primary care physician can then call somebody like Dr. Listro, and then they can see them same day.
Okay, so if somebody just knows that they want mental health, they've been down and out and wanted to talk to someone on medication, then they would go straight to you, and they
Yeah,
wouldn't worry about primary care.
Yeah, we
Wow,
walk
it
in.
looks like we have a caller already, and that's exciting. Why don't we take that call? Hello, caller. Hi, you're here with Dr. Walters, and we're talking about getting linked with mental health support at Jesse Brown VA. What is your question?
Good evening. My name's Brian. I'm in Chicago. And I wanted to get your thoughts on the use of telehealth.
Telehealth.
I think that there might be a shortage of psychiatrists, psychologists, social workers, and things. And maybe you guys have an opinion on the ways that telehealth can be used to help people, when they're at home.
Yeah, okay. That's a good question.
Yeah.
So I imagine, Dr. Walters, that there are occasions that people travel long and far to get some help, but it's hard to get to appointments on a regular basis.
Yeah, maybe they have mobility issues too. I mean, there's lots of reasons to do telehealth appointments. I mean, basically you need if you can get to a CBOC or you have a good internet connection, it can be a really great useful resource if you're to maintain contact with your therapist or your provider.
Yeah. And every VA provider now is equipped with telehealth, like a Skype technology, where they can provide mental health services through this technology, through interviewing, just like we're talking to each other. But the only difference is that I would be able to see you too, and engage in assessment and treatment services and medication evaluations for those services. So that is definitely, we are the cutting edge. Jesse Brown, this is definitely happening.
Yeah.
And it's available for all the veterans. So great question. That's an important question because Jesse Brown has a huge coverage area. We go all the way up to northern, right up to Evanston, just south of Evanston, all the way west to the west suburbs, all the way down south
Indiana.
to Indiana.
Yeah.
And
Huge catchment area.
a big catchment area. Not everybody, and it can be a challenging, and especially next week when school starts, traffic's going to be.
It's going to be terrible. And I think that the telehealth is, we've obviously rolled it out at Jesse Brown. I think it's a fantastic tool. I think it's going to be becoming more and more popular with people. And patients, if you're listening, or veterans, if you're curious about it, you can always come in. You can ask your existing provider about it. You can always come into the psychiatric assessment clinic and ask about it if that's an option. So that you can ask your primary care doctor. I mean, there's just kind of a lot of different ways to get kind of connected and use that service. And then, like what Dr. Prosher was saying, we're also set up, the mental health staff is also set up to, we have little cameras on each of our computers with secure internet connections, and so, we have the option to use that as needed, instead of, because one option is you use it like kind of more regularly, and the other the other option is you kind of use it as needed with your individual therapist or doctor or social worker or what, kind of what have you.
Yes, exactly.
A great question.
Thank you for that question. And for those at home, please don't hesitate, like Brian did from Chicago, to call us at 312-738-1060. So we're talking about linkage and connection and people wanting to get help. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention that our suicide hotline, our award-winning suicide hotline, 1-800-273-8255. Press 1 if you're a veteran. And this is the Veterans Crisis Line. So if you're concerned about a veteran, or if you're a veteran that's in crisis, this is the number. We also have, it looks like, a Connect online that you can chat. And there's also support for deaf and hard of hearing folks too at that other number. So,
and I will add to that, that number never closes. So that it's 24 hours a day.
7 days a week.
7 days a week. If you are in crisis, you need to talk to somebody.
It's a live person.
Yeah, and if you're not sure you're in crisis and you just don't know what to do, it's just a good resource to have. And then those callers or the people who answer those phones can also alert the mental health staff, and then somebody can outreach you or alert us that you're coming into, like my clinic, for example, psychiatric assessment clinic.
Yeah, next month we're going to talk a lot further about that suicide prevention. But why don't we pick up, say, they contact suicide prevention, you call that line, you talk to somebody, and you decide you want to get help. So what happens at that point?
Good. It depends where you are kind of in your assessment treatment. So meaning, like, it depends if you're already linked to like a doctor or psychiatrist, social worker, or therapist, we then would, like, if you call the suicide hotline, then we want to get you an appointment very, very quickly with your existing provider, right? But if you're not established, like you're not an established patient within mental health, then we would get you into our psychiatric assessment clinic as soon as possible, or as soon as that the caller would like to come in. And then we can do an evaluation, we can see what's going on, we can see what needs we can meet immediately, or we can start to treatment, we can set up a treatment plan. We just have a lot of resources. And those appointments, like we were saying earlier, those can be walk-in. So you don't have to have a scheduled appointment. You were kind of asking about primary care and mental health integration. Those, you have to have a scheduled appointment with your physician. Psychiatric assessment clinic, at least at Jesse Brown, we can see walk-ins. But also, if you do want an appointment, you can ask one of your doctors to put a consult in, and then you can get a scheduled appointment if it's a little more convenient for you. So we're kind of there and ready each and every day for patients that need to be linked or evaluated or treated. It's kind of, we're just kind of there ready for you.
Yeah. And so what kind of programs do we have there at Jesse Brown VA?
Good question. You have a lot. Yeah. So, for our most acute patients, we have our inpatient psychiatry, which is a locked ward. There's patients who are acutely homicidal, suicidal, or they're unable to care for themselves, and we get concerned about safety. So we have that level of care. We also have 2 residential programs. One focuses a little more on addiction. One focuses a little more on kind of social issues. There's 30 and 42-day programs. I think, I'm not sure about the 42 days, but it's close to that. We also have day programs where a patient comes in every day for 4+ or so weeks, and they get treated. And those patients also have pretty acute needs that need to be handled, every day, and in a way that is more appropriate than for outpatient. So then we also have outpatient mental health, which has those are scheduled appointments with psychiatrists, psychologists, social workers. But a lot of times we will link veterans to if addiction is an issue or housing is an issue. We have like clothing vouchers. I mean, there's things that we can also treat immediately that can be exacerbating like existing mental health issues, and those just kind of come up organically. When they do, we let a veteran know what services we have, and then we'll link them to them.
All right, so it sounds like there's a whole range of different levels of care that goes through more like intense residential to intense outpatient to outpatient.
Yeah.
And I guess there's also specialty clinics like PTSD.
Yeah, specialty clinic,
deal with trauma.
We also have groups, we have individual. Sometimes a veteran wants to be treated at a CBOC, and we can recommend a CBOC close to them, or a community-based outpatient center, or a vet center, or something like that. So we're pretty flexible. We want to meet a veteran where they're at and what they need.
Okay.
But yeah, we do have a lot of resources.
So what about how do you determine whether someone needs to come into the hospital immediately for a psychiatric hospitalization?
Sure. I mean, if, the kind of standard protocol is, if a person is acutely suicidal, meaning they're having a lot of thoughts about suicide, maybe they have a plan or an intention, or maybe they've made a recent suicide attempt, or they're worried they may make a recent suicide attempt, and they want to come in, those definitely criteria for psychiatric admission. Also, if a person is acting aggressively or erratically or even homicidal, meaning they're going to target a person or persons and do some kind of violent act, we'll bring those people in. Or if a person is just unable to care for themselves or their others, or maybe they have serious mental illness and they're just very symptomatic, and taking care of themselves, like staying warm in cold weather and feeding themselves and making sure that they're kind of safe on a day-to-day, we'll bring those people in. And at Jesse Brown, we do both voluntary psychiatric admissions and involuntary psychiatric admissions. And we take, these are pretty serious, evaluations, but, usually kind of comes down to safety, a person's safety or a community safety. So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, how are, I work in a clinic works with post 9/11 veterans. How are these newer returning veterans? Are they handled any differently in your PAC clinic or in your hospital?
Well, everybody receives, pretty outstanding care, I would say. The returning veterans also have access to the transition care management clinic,
On the 10th floor, Damon.
which is where you're at, which has two physicians, two nurse practitioners, maybe psychiatrists, psychologists, social workers. They're there and ready. And so, because as you know better than anybody, as a person is transitioning out of the service, they have a lot of loose ends and needs and maybe medical appointments that need to be attended to, or psychiatric issues or social issues or service connection, and there's a lot.
So we're all there together to handle it all at one time, and I think we do have we have a PAC is one way to get connected, but our clinic also has a satellite person like yourself that connects people to other mental health resources. So if you wanted to walk in, you can walk in the PAC, and we'll talk about where to walk in there. But you can also walk in on the 10th floor, Damon, walk right into the clinic and ask to be seen by somebody there, and they can evaluate you the same day or make an appointment to follow up to connect you to other services. So where is the Psychiatric Assessment Clinic PAC? Where is that located in the Jesse Brown Hospital, which is located on 820 South Damon Avenue, Chicago, Illinois, 60612. Look us up, va.gov. Put your zip code in, and it will pop out the closest VA facilities near where you live. But where?
Yeah, so
once you get to the hospital.
Yeah, once you get to the hospital, on the main floor is our admitting clinic. So if you've never been to Jesse Brown, you would ask for our admitting clinic. And right there, we have a triage clinic. And very close to that, we have our ER and then our psychiatric assessment clinic. But if you're a walk-in patient, you would just need to be seen by triage, and you say, I'm here for mental health, or I'm feeling stressed out, or I'm feeling really down. And then a nurse will take your vitals, and then walk you over to our assessment clinic. And it is literally just around the corner. It's very, very close. So if you've never been to Jesse Brown before, I would just ask, where's the admitting clinic? I mean, it's kind of right in the center of the first floor, and from there they can escort you to psychiatric assessment clinic.
Excellent. So what if a veteran's issues mostly stem from housing?
Yeah, which is pretty common. Fortunately, we have a very large housing department, our HUD-VASH program, and they also have medical care within that department. Those are the walk-in appointments, and they can link veterans to like immediate housing needs, like a shelter, or but there's also grant per diem programs or programs that are a little bit longer in nature, and then they kind of range all the way up to receiving a voucher. And so there's multiple levels of resources, but the first step would just come to our housing, 8th floor Damon, or our HUD-VASH program, meet with one of the case managers, and kind of take it from there. But there are a lot of resources in terms of housing.
Okay, so we talked a lot about how to get access and address mental health problems. But what if someone comes and they've been having memory problems? The problems
Pretty common.
track.
Yeah,
Especially, we have older veterans, we have
Yeah.
younger veterans that have had head injuries, and they notice that this is a problem that's interfering with their life, with their school, with their family relationships. How does a person get help for that?
Yeah, so first they would, they would need to speak to one of their providers and just let somebody know. It'd be like step one. Primary care is probably, pretty easy, good resource, or a therapist. And they say, I'm concerned about my memory. And then from there, they can be referred to our neuropsychology clinic, which is one of the other clinics I work in. And we can talk with them and see what's going on. I mean, there's a lot of different things that can cause memory problems for young and for old people, and some are kind of a little bit easier to manage. Some need to be managed with medications. Maybe some we kind of need to track a progression of something over time. But those are considered a little more specialty evaluations. They take a little bit longer. They're really thorough. And they usually run a couple of hours, kind of a good rule of thumb. But in addition to an interview and asking a person what's going on, we do memory testing, and then we put all this information together in kind of a larger report, and we go over it with the patient. And then we make recommendations for treatment. But it's a pretty involved process, but it's pretty thorough. So that's how we do that.
Excellent. So we've reached this point of the show. We call it rapid fire. And during this segment of the show, I ask the guests a series of questions, and you give me free association, your first response that comes to your mind. Some are related to mental health, some are not.
Okay.
And your job is to provide me the first response that comes to your mind, because we've got
All right.
5 minutes left, and there's no other questions. We're going to do a deep dive into Dr. Walters and who Dr. Walters is.
All right.
All right, we're getting to his mind. Free association, rapid fire. Ready?
Okay.
So, what is your favorite healthy food?
Bananas.
Bananas. And what's the worst job you've ever had?
I worked at TCBY.
Why? Okay.
Terrible.
Why was that terrible?
I wasn't trained, and
Okay.
people were very grumpy. And ever since then, I really feel for people who work in the food service industry, because people are mean.
Yeah.
People can be very mean,
Yes, they
especially, they want their yogurt.
Okay. Given a choice of anyone in the world whom you would want as a dinner guest to share a healthy meal, what would it be?
Anyone in the world? For a healthy, well,
Past or living?
I'm pretty food conscious, and so right now I'm into this ultra vegan marathoner named Rich Roll. I'd like to
Oh, wow.
pick
Okay.
his brain a little bit. That'd be really
Alright.
kind of fun.
Okay. So you're big into health food, vegan health food. What is your guilty junk food pleasure?
Pizza.
Pizza.
So-
Pizza.
There's one place in Chicago, Jimmy's, on Lincoln and Foster, which is my favorite, and they have a thin crust that has just a little bit of cheese on there,
Lincoln and
and
Foster.
and that's my guilty cheat meal.
Okay.
And
Okay.
so-
So name 3 things you and your veteran patients have in common.
Oh, 3 things. Well, maybe we both have family members in the service. My brother and my dad was in the service.
Okay.
Okay. A lot of the OEF, OIF, OND veterans are close to my age,
Mm-hmm.
and it's been like that for about the past 10 years.
Yeah.
I guess we probably value service.
Cool. Great. So service, connection, military. For what in life are you most grateful?
I'm becoming more grateful for patience.
Patience.
Learning, because when you're patient first, it just seems to things kind of work out naturally, and so I think I'm
Yeah.
appreciating that a little more.
Yeah, I think there's a Chinese term called Wu Wei. It's a part of Taoism, and it's this idea of inactive action. By doing
Yeah.
nothing, everything kind of unfolds in the way
Yeah.
it should.
Yeah.
If you had a crystal ball to tell you the truth about your health and future, what would you want to know?
But things are going to be okay.
Things are going to be okay.
If it's going to tell me about my health, I would like to know that. Yeah, you're going to be all right.
Would you like to know if they weren't all right? If things weren't going to be all right?
If I had to pick one, I'm going with the all right scenario.
Oh, okay. Is there something you've dreamed of doing for a long time?
No more travel.
Travel? More travel?
Yeah, more travel.
Okay.
It's probably
Okay. And why haven't you done it yet?
Airplanes are not my favorite thing.
Oh.
Airports are not my favorite thing, and
Okay.
so
Well, I know someone that can help you out with that.
Yeah.
Okay. Last one.
all right.
I wish finish the sentence. I wish I had someone with whom I could share blank.
A drink.
All right. So, thank you so much.
Yeah.
We completed the segment. You were successful. We hit the target.
All right.
Rapid fire.
Thank you for having me back. Always a pleasure.
I really enjoyed you coming back on the show. You have so much information, so many resources. And if you want to talk to this guy personally, you can call 312-569-VETS or come on down 820 South Damon Avenue, Jesse Brown Psychiatric Assessment Clinic on the first floor. But for those of you that are watching at home, we're going to be back next month, fourth Thursday. We're going to be talking about suicide, veteran suicide. So don't be shy. Call in with your questions. Stay tuned for the show that comes next. And goodbye for now.
Bye. Thank you.